Hey everyone, it's Desiree and welcome. As always, I hope you are enjoying your day and of course having some of that crafty time. Today I'm going to show you how we can take a stamp, so it would be a flat image, and give it a 3D effect. Now the stamp set that I'm using is from Scrappy and it's called Heartfelt Wings. It's from a previous release. And then we're going to pull in the A7 book cover birthday plate that's from her new collection now. The first thing I want to do first is create the background. We are going to be working on a 7x7 card base. You guys know I love real estate. Love real estate when it comes to creating, whether it's a card, a journal, anything like that. Now a journal just gives you more space, more pages. But a 7x7 card is awesome. So I've pulled out my watercolors and I'm using a mop brush and I'm just applying some color, adding water to it. I do want this to be light. I don't want this to be bold for these colors. And I've cut this panel down to be 6 3/4 by 6 3/4. The watercolor paper I'm using is Canson XL. I like the Canson XL watercolor paper. It's not 100% cotton. I'm going to dry this with my heat tool. And you just have this faint pink going on, pink purple going on there. And that's what I was looking for. I'm now going to splatter some brown, and I'm also going to splatter some of my white watercolor that I have here in the corner, just to give it a little bit of a texture look when it comes to that background. Not much of it will be seen, but I just want to be able to have those textures. I'm going to stamp the 3 butterfly images for this set. Now this stamp set worked out because I had 3 butterflies. I had one large one and the next 2, they were close in size, but one was kind of a little larger than the other one. You can definitely do this if you just have one stamp that's large, because you can continue to cut it down into different shapes, different sizes. You just have to look at that stamp and cut along its lines. You know, so for the very large one, if that's the only one that I used, I would, come in about 1/4 of an inch all the way around for the middle layer, and then I would come in on those white areas by the body closest, so about another 1/2 inch in from the edge, and you can get that same look. I stamped these in my Altenew Obsidian, and I'm adding clear embossing powder, and I will heat set those and then die. No, we will not die cut yet. And once we have this heat set, we're going to pull the watercolors back in, because I want to add some colors to those. I chose watercolors because they're soft. Remember, watercolors, while they look vibrant and bold when they're wet, when you're putting them down, they dry back, meaning they get lighter and softer as they do dry. For the large butterfly, we're going to go with some yellows and reds, which will make a soft shade of pink and coral in the center. And I'm just going to let these watercolors do what they do. I am not going to force it. The only thing that I'm forcing is making sure that I don't have too much of color pulling into certain areas. I don't want this to look like a stained glass. But if I kept those pulls in there, then you could certainly get that look with the way that these stamps are designed. I'm going to fill in the center of the large butterfly, and I'm just getting a very dark tone. So I'm creating a dark gray from the palette. Again, just mixing all of these colors in to get it as dark as I can. Going to move on to the next one, the middle butterfly. So this one's going to be mainly red and letting that come out to the edge and do its blend. So adding more color to the center, and again, letting the watercolors do what they do. I'm going to add just a touch of blue to the edge of the red color that I've put down. And then for the next one, it's going to be more blues and a little bit of purples going in there. So a lot more pigment towards the center, and then adding water from the outer part so that it will radiate out. I am not worried about the center of the butterflies for the two smaller ones. And you can see I'm kind of sopping up some of that blue because I want them to be soft. I want them to have soft colors. Remember, when you have the heat embossing like I do, it's creating a barrier. So if we just stamped these, you would have more of that movement going on. But I did want to have the glossy finish just to give it a little bit of sparkle for each of the images. I'm going to take the dies and I'm going to line them up and I'm going to run them through my die cutting machine. We're going to pop those out. And now we're going to start building this butterfly. So on the large one, I'm going to use an X-Acto knife and carefully take your time with this, cut along the edge. I'm not going all the way to the top and the bottom. I am stopping at the heavy outline that's around the butterfly. So I'm sticking with the center. For the next two, I'm cutting right down the center and I'm cutting off the antennas. So just following that die cut line, cutting the antennas off. And then I'm going to bend at the body half that's on each of the wings, and these are going to be layered together. And you can see that we'll be able to, once we get these layered, I'm going to apply glue to the one, pinch it down and just hold it there for a little bit, and making sure that I'll be able to bend these wings up, just putting it into the fold. And now we're going to set these along each side of those cut lines that we added into the butterfly. So going in on an angle and then it slides right in. We're going to set that aside and let that dry. I'm going to work on the archway. So I grabbed a piece of the pattern paper from the Life as a Story collection, and I love the script. I think it just adds a little bit of interest to the background of the die, and I chose a craft cardstock for the die. Once I have that on, I'm going to cut around it with my long scissors, and then I don't have to worry about measuring and all of that. I do add a second layer. No, I do not. For once, I did not add that dimension. I'm going to go around the watercolor panel base with Vintage Photo. And for the arch, I'm going to go around that with Scorched Timber. It's a little bit darker. It's a very dark brown. It's a beautiful color. because I want this frame just to stick out just a little bit more. And I'm going to go around the inside edge and the outside edge. Again, not looking for it to be perfect, just making sure we get that color there. And then I'm going down each of the sides. Because I used watercolor, because I used my heat tool and the panel warped, I am going to use my 2-inch double-sided U-line tape. This takes out the warping and it doesn't come back. It is a very strong tape. I always say that it is unforgiving. The moment it touches paper, it is down. And I was very nervous when I dropped that panel. I'm going to slowly bring it down to my card base. And now we have that flat panel. I'm going to use my double-sided foam tape for the arch because I want that propped up to add a little bit of a dimension, even more dimension to our card. This is the type of card that you would hand deliver. If you're going to send it somebody, I would suggest a box. To actually find a box, you know, like 8x8 that you would be able to sit this in. There is a lot of dimension to the cards. That's something that I gravitate to when it comes to my projects in general. May not be for you, by all means. So you could just do the large butterfly. Don't prop the arch up with double-sided tape. Keep your sentiment one layer and just do the large butterfly and still get the same effect. No, you won't have the 3D effect, but you'll have the flatter type card. Now, because it is a 7x7 card, in the States, we do add more postage because it's a 7x7. This is an extremely large butterfly. You can fit it on a standard A2 size card base. You're going to lose a lot of the butterfly because you'll cut away what's coming off of the card. I like that look too. I think that's cool when something looks like it's coming in. But you'll just have a different look. I hope that makes sense. Again, no matter what the creators that you watch create, it may not be for you. It may not be your style, but look at the technique that got them there. You could take bits and pieces of it and apply it to your style so that you can get that look that you are looking for. And I can't stress that enough. Again, what we create is what we enjoy. Understand that it's not for everybody. But again, just take bits and pieces. No need to comment when it comes to that. Just saying. Taking the sentiment, and I used a holographic cardstock, mirror cardstock for the top. On one side, I added double-sided foam so that this will stay even across the arch and onto the card base. We have our butterfly, and this just fills this up beautifully. I'm going to flip this over and add more double-sided or some double-sided foam tape on this side, especially down the body, because then it's going to help hold all those pieces along with the double-sided adhesive. And I'm just going to add some small pieces towards the center because that will hold it inside the arch. I don't need to worry about the wings going over the arch because this double-sided tape is really strong. Again, it's also from U-line, but it's finicky with the release paper. It doesn't like to release. But it is very strong. You can play with those wings, prop them up even more, and they are staying because those two are also on the Canson XL watercolor paper. I dug into my stash for some iridescent jewels. I'm using the black iridescent and just playing around with the sizes and grouping them together all throughout the background of the card. And here is our finished project, and you can just see the dimension on that, and it will hold. It is very secure there. I love the softness of the colors from the watercolor. It's not big and bold. I think what's big and bold is the sentiment with the iridescent and the pearls. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's project. I hope you got something from that. The products that I used will be listed down below if you wanted to check them out. If you haven't yet, love for you to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you ring the bell for notifications for when our next video is ready for you to watch. But most of all, enjoy the process. Enjoy creating what you create and know that it is art, and just have fun being inspired. But most of all, and always remember, be creative every day in everything that you do. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Until then, take care.